Yeah, during the cooler months and around the holiday season, it's those conventions that keep hotels booked and tourists pouring into the city. And without those conventions, it really can impact anyone working in hospitality and even retail. I spoke with the LVCVA and they say they're hopeful that now that there's a vaccine, we can really start to see our economy recover.
It really is a disappointment to the economy when we don't have those large-scale events.
Lori Nelson-Kraft with the LVCVA says since COVID-19 hit in early March, the Valley has lost numerous economic-boosting conferences and conventions. Just last week, the National Finals Rodeo, which usually rakes in millions of dollars for our local economy, was instead held in Arlington, Texas because of COVID restrictions.
Reported estimates for the National Finals Rodeo were approaching $200 million.
Other canceled events include CES, the NFL Draft, the World Series of Poker, and dozens of other trade shows and conventions that would have brought millions of tourists to the city and billions of dollars to the economy.
That Sunday through Thursday of hotel rooms being filled up, that's generated by the meeting and convention industry.
You think about everything that all of those people that come to Las Vegas do. Transportation from the airport to their hotel. They're paying for lodging. They're staying overnight. They're eating in the restaurants, dining out. They're doing retail shopping. And that translates into over $11.4 billion worth of economic activity just here in Southern Nevada.
So what's next for a city fueled by tourism?
The news of the vaccine starting to get into the arms of many and having a distribution plan is such positive news for everyone.
The vaccine providing hope, and Kraft says many conventions have already rescheduled for 2021 or 2022, which she says shows that we are on the road to economic recovery, but it will take time.
This will be measured in years in terms of the overall recovery, so we're talking about upwards or in excess of 3 years.
Jim, good evening. Las Vegas, good evening to you. What's happening here is happening at hospitals all over the valley. First, some good news. All week, thousands of UMC's frontline COVID fighters are getting first dibs on America's first COVID-19 vaccine. UMC CEO Mason Van Houweling.
I really feel it's the beginning of the end.
Which can't come soon enough, which is why this is happening here. And this is happening at Southern Hills. And this is happening at St. Rose and other local hospitals. Right now, our valley can't afford to lose any healthcare worker, any nurse, or any doctor. Just ask one.
If there's not enough staff to man the beds, then those beds aren't open. If there's not enough staff, then there's less patients that can be cared for.
Before the pandemic, Nevada already had the second smallest nurse-to-population ratio in the country, according to the Bureau of Health Workforce. Then came COVID. At UMC, where 350 workers have at one point contracted COVID, the strain has been real.
It really is all hands on deck. So any part of that team that goes is not available or goes down because of the virus, it impacts us. But we're being very creative. We're using all of our resources, whether it's travelers, per diems, but mainly our UMC staff is just working around the clock, picking up extra shifts to be able to accomplish this mission.
His hospital right now is at 90% capacity, 34% have COVID. In his ICU, it's about 80% capacity, more than half are COVID cases. According to the Nevada Hospital Association, in Southern Nevada, staffing is where the challenges are continuing, which is why each shot to each person at each hospital is very important. If we keep them healthy, they can help you heal too.
Well, Marie, just very devastating news we were just briefed on a few minutes ago. We were told that the victim in this accident tonight was a 68-year-old woman. I'm going to show you the scene that's still very active. Now, here's what we know. There was a 3-vehicle accident just after 6 o'clock tonight. The driver of one of the vehicles, that woman who was killed tonight, was going back and forth to her car that was stuck in the middle of the road in the center turn lane. Now, one of those trips led to her death.
As she went back and forth between her car, in one of her trips from her car back to the sidewalk, she went down in the travel lane that cars were traveling through to continue eastbound, and then a car that was traveling at that time hit her. And so it is two separate collisions.
Now, again, we were told that that woman, after leaving her car on one of those trips, actually slipped into the road. That's when she was hit by the vehicle and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Now, we were told the driver of the vehicle that struck the woman did not pass a field sobriety test and was taken into custody. We're going to find out if there are any other charges here tonight following the investigation. But for now, Warm Springs between Spencer and Eastern is expected to be closed for the next 3 or 4 hours for any drivers who will be in the area. But again, this is an ongoing investigation. We'll provide more details as they become available.
State data reveals that methamphetamine has played a role in more than 150 deadly crashes on Nevada roadways since 2017, the latest involving meth last week's on US 95. 5 cyclists dead, others injured, and this man, identified as Jordan Barson, is now behind bars. He's charged with several counts of DUI. Prosecutors say he had extreme amounts of both methamphetamine and amphetamine in his system when he crashed a box truck into a group of about 20 cyclists on US 95 south of Boulder City last week, killing 5 of them. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson says driving under the influence of meth isn't common, but it isn't an anomaly either.
It's not seen as often as alcohol or other drugs, but I guarantee you there's a lot of people that are ingesting methamphetamine and driving.
According to state data, there were 41 deadly crashes involving meth in 2017, 50 in 2018, 35 in 2019, and through mid-August of 2020, 26 deadly crashes involving meth. That number doesn't include the most recent crash or any since August 15th.
We're looking at 10% of the fatals involve meth, and that is a notable number.
Andrew Bennett with the Nevada Office of Traffic Safety says driving under the influence of meth alone isn't as common as alcohol and marijuana. However, it is often a part of the equation for drivers who are impaired by multiple substances simultaneously.
When we look at the other polysubstance usage, meth is definitely, a permanent fixture in the conversation of where it lies within the other substances.